everybody, welcome to Frannie's Hair. Today I'm going to go over 5 must-know tips when using the Envy 3-in-1 Airstyler, so stay tuned. Okay, this video is not about styling, and I will be doing one on styling and how to use the tool to curl. This video is more about how to use the tool and keep your fibers safe in the process. I've spent many hours using this tool now, and it is a game changer. I mean, to have a tool that can work on non-heat-friendly synthetic wigs, heat-friendly synthetic wigs, human hair wigs, it's great. You have 3 different attachments with the tool, so you have lots of styling possibilities. Really great tool, but there are things that you need to know. So let's start with number 1. Okay, the first thing you have to know is that this tool does not work like a regular curling iron or smoothing brush that you would use on your natural hair. When I first got it, I didn't read the instructions. That's what I do. I just dive in, and I tried to use it the way I would normally, and I'm going to do that for you right now. I have it on high heat. I'm going to put it on a low fan, make sure my cool shot's off, and I'm just going to curl it the way I would normally curl my hair. I'd curl it, leave it a few seconds, feels warm, and let it out. And as you can see, nothing happens. And that's when I called Envy and I was like, hey guys, this does not work. And they said, you can't use it the way you use a regular tool on your natural hair. So the way this tool works on synthetic fibers in particular, because they're not made out of hair, is that you need to heat it up normally for about 10 seconds, and the time may vary depending on the heat you're using, but normally about 10 seconds. Then you turn on your cool shot for 10 seconds, and that cool shot will cool the fibers and keep the style in place. And then sometimes you even need to pin your curl and let it cool all the way. Sometimes if you just want to wave, then taking it out at that point will work. So I'm going to just show you on this. If I turn it again onto the low fan, and it's high heat, and this is a regular synthetic wig. This is Charlotte by Envy, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. So I'm going to put it in, hold it for 10 seconds. Then turn on the cool shot. I didn't actually time that. I counted to 10. Okay, now I'm going to just turn it off. It's still warm, but I'm going to take it out and just show you what we have so far. And there you can see. You have a nice curl there. Hopefully you can see that in there. I'll try to bring the camera in to do a close-up. So you can't just stick it in, curl it, let it go. You have to make sure you use that cool shot. Okay, the second thing I learned, once I finally took out the instruction booklet, was that it can be a bit confusing. If you turn to the first page of the instruction booklet, it's going to have this diagram here of the heat wand, and it talks about the heat control. And it says, control the temperature of the airflow depending on the hair type. Synthetic works best on low and medium, and high heat fiber and human hair on high, which is what I would expect. However, when you go over to the different styling ideas and they teach you how to do curls, for every single style, under heat-friendly and synthetic fiber, which is regular synthetic fiber, you're going to use the tool with high heat and low airflow. So I was a little confused because the first page said to use low or medium heat on regular synthetic. That's when I did the deep dive. I used the high heat on regular synthetic wigs by Envy, on regular synthetic wigs by other brands, and then also on heat-friendly fibers. And the takeaway basically was that I can use high heat on heat-friendly fibers. It worked fine, there was no damage. On regular synthetic, doing the same thing on different brand wigs didn't always turn out the same way, and in fact, I actually damaged some of the fibers in the process, and I'm going to talk to you about that next. So number 2 is just know that the instruction booklet is a little bit confusing. All right, on to number 3. Okay, so the third thing I learned is even if you're following the instructions, and in general they work, and I will show you some curls and all of that that I achieved using the tool. Even though they worked, there were times when I damaged some of the fibers. So, my number 3 tip for you is make sure 2 things. Number 1, that you test in an inconspicuous area. I would say maybe lift up the hair in the back and work under near the nape here. So if you do have some damage, it won't be noticeable because you can cover it with the hair. So that's number 1, work in an inconspicuous area until you figure out how the fibers are reacting to the technique you want to use. And number 2 is that size matters. The size of the section of the hair you use really matters. If I'm using a small section, that section is going to take a lot more heat than if I'm using more fibers. And I know that makes sense, but I just want you to think about that because you spend good money on your wigs, and I would hate to see you have a bad result. In addition to trying the tool on inconspicuous areas and knowing that size of the section that you take matters, I would also say start low and then move up. So start on a lower heat. Now, in all of my testing, I found that the low heat really didn't do much on regular synthetic or heat-friendly synthetic wigs. But I would start with medium heat for the 10 seconds hold, 10-second cool shot, and see what you get with that. Maybe if you want more of a curl, you'll use a longer time on that, or you'll use some product. And then if you want, move up to high heat and try that out and test that out. Always in the inconspicuous area, but start low and then move higher. That would be my recommendation. The next thing I learned is that when you wrap your hair around the tool, you really want to make sure that you start at the bottom of the tool, like this, and then you're going to wrap so that the hairs or fibers go up the tool. If you have too much hair overlapping, the hair on the top is not going to get that heat. So start wrapping at the bottom and then have your fibers go all the way up, overlapping as little as possible. Okay, so what do you do if you did create some damage? Now I left this in on high heat. It's a regular synthetic for 30 seconds because I wanted to make sure I was going to damage it. And I did damage the fibers in here. I just want to make note that nowhere in the instructions does it say to leave high heat on your regular synthetic fiber for 30 seconds, but I wanted to damage it. Okay, so you can see up here it's damaged. You see that like kink, the fibers? I really messed them up. So what can you do? Well, you could take out your steamer and try to work on that with steam, and it probably would work, but I am not great with a steamer at all. It starts spitting at me, I burn myself, I'm hopeless. So what I found can help is taking the oval brush attachment on high heat, low fan, and I take a water mister and I mist the area with a decent amount of water. I'm trying to get a steaming type effect without using the steamer. And then I'm going to just brush under and over, you'll see, on the fibers. Being careful not to stretch the fibers or break the fibers, because when they're wet, they're more fragile. And this really highlights the importance of testing out on an area that's not going to show. You're not going to want to do it right on top of your wig like this. But I did it just to show you. And I move it slowly down the wig. You can see here is where I got the most damage. So I'm gonna just try to work through that. So you can see it's looking better. It's not 100%. It's not going to get it back to healthy fibers because I've basically melted them. But it can make it look better. So there you go. Hopefully you can see that there. There's still some damage there, but it's looking much better. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions when you're using your Airstyler, please let me know. Put them in the comments below. If you've used the Airstyler, I'd love to hear from you and hear how it's working for you. I do have a video in the works right now. I'm doing editing on it where I show you how to do the different curls that they do in this instruction booklet, and I'll take you through all of those. I also have another video already out where I worked with the MV educators, and you get to see them showing us how the tool works, and I'll link that in the description below. All right, as always, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. Remember to make it your own, and I'll see you soon.